All right, so we're going to start kicking off our consciousness unit by talking about sleep and what exactly is consciousness. Why does sleep matter? How does sleep fall into it? So, consciousness is the last great mystery for science. It's been deemed that because there's a lot of questions about, can we transfer consciousness? Let's say something were to happen, would we be able to transfer our consciousness into machines? Does it happen when you transfer, body parts from other people, etc.? So it's something that people find very interesting just because we don't really know a whole lot about it. We have ideas of what it means to be conscious, but that's about as far as we go. So, what is consciousness? Well, consciousness or awareness is essentially just a person's awareness of everything that's going on around him or her at a given moment, which is used to organize that behavior. So, essentially, your consciousness or awareness is just how aware are you of everything that is surrounding you at this moment. Not all forms of awareness are going to be the same. So, in your notes, I leave something like this for you, and I want you guys to kind of map out what you think is most conscious or aware and least. So, looking at these ones, I'm just going to pick out sleep just because that's a pretty simple one. When we're sleeping, we're typically not very aware of what's going on around us, right? We're not very conscious, whether you want to take that literally or metaphorically. Now, think about some of the other ones. When you're falling asleep in class versus sleeping in general at home, are you easier to wake up? Are you still aware of what's going on around you? Likewise, when you're watching a scary movie and driving to school, hopefully not at the same time, but when you're doing those two activities, what level of consciousness are you at? Are you very aware? Can you hear every single creak in a floorboard? Can you hear every single footstep, people breathing? When you're driving to school, do you typically zone out? How aware are you of what you're doing? So go ahead, take some time in your notes and complete this activity. So, we're going to look at human consciousness. So, what is conscious versus unconscious? Well, conscious would be a high level of concentration and alert wakefulness. So, you can concentrate, you are awake, you are aware of what's going on. Meanwhile, obviously, unconscious would be little attention, little awareness. So, we just don't know what's going on necessarily. So, it's not that we are like literally unconscious, we, are not responding. We're still alive and breathing, but we are just completely knocked out. You can have unconscious moments throughout your day where you just have very little awareness or attention. So, for this video, we're going to go ahead and pause after this brain break, but come back for lesson 2. So, our brain break, not everyone has an internal monologue. So, as a fun fact, some people don't have an internal narrative or monologue. Some do, some don't. So, in some people's heads, their thoughts are sentences that they hear. And some people just have abstract nonverbal thoughts and just have to consciously verbalize them. So what that looks like is if you're the kind of person who has to repeat things in your head, if you, kind of talk to yourself in your head and you're like, okay, you know, I'm coming to school today. I need to go to this class at this time, do this, do that. That would be an unconscious or not unconscious monologue, excuse me, a internal monologue. Now, let's say you just do those things without thinking about them. That means you most likely don't have an internal monologue. And so they say most people aren't aware of the other type of person. A lot of times you are familiar with what you experience. So if you don't have one, you're going to be kind of baffled sometimes that other people do, and vice versa. But in your notes, I want you to take a few minutes, write out, do you have an internal monologue? Do you think it benefits you? Do you think it's, weird, quote unquote, to not have one or have one if you're the opposite?